All right. So, hi, and welcome to my presentation about OER. So I want to get started simply just describing what OER is and how it can help you as faculty. So we all know that we have a lot of really good reasons for using OER, right? Our students have an impact from textbook costs. And this graphic, which comes from the 2022 Student Textbook and Instructional Materials Survey from Florida Virtual Campus, shows easily that, students, 53% of students said they did not purchase the required textbook. Of course, that impacts their success, right? You don't have the materials that you need in order to take the course, you're not going to do as well. 43% of the respondents of that survey said they took fewer courses. 38% said they didn't register for a specific course because the textbook was too expensive. 32% they earned a poor grade. And 24% said they dropped a course because of the cost of textbooks. So just so you know the statistics here, this was done over 30 institutions in the state of Florida. 13,000 responses were submitted, and 71% were from FCS, Florida College System institutions, and 28% was SUS institutions or state university system institutions. So you can see that the bulk of these responses come from college students, Florida College System students. So if textbooks and their cost impact student success, impact our students. We know that, right? That's just established. So far at Lake-Sumter, we have had success with saving our students money. This table is from spring of 23. This is only the courses that I know are using OER or zero textbook cost materials, which are a little different, right? But the savings down at the bottom is projected from the new cost of that specific book for that specific course. It's substantial. And this is only the ones I know are using OER. Some may not be using OER. Or some may be using OER, I just don't know about it. So that number could be higher. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more then about what OER is. Okay. And you're going to hear the terms OER and ZTC, zero textbook cost, or open educational resource, right? They're not the same. And OER is material that can be freely used and reused at no cost. So OER is always free, but free doesn't always equal OER. So you have to be kind of careful as to what term you use. Okay, OER is a license thing, right? OER is something that is determined by the license that is placed on it. So the way publishing works, the way writing works, and media and all of these things, you've got copyright. The minute you create something and fix it in a tangible medium, being a painting or a painting, an audio work, a movie, a film, any of those things, as soon as it's fixed in a tangible medium, it's copyrighted and you own the copyright because you created it, right? So OER is licenses that are placed on top of that copyright where you as the creator can determine what can be done with that material. Of course, the exception to this is public domain, which doesn't need any kind of other license. Public domain can be used freely, and it can be used in perpetuity, right? Copyright and Creative Commons licenses are also in perpetuity. So let's look a little bit at what the licenses are and what they give us permission to do. So you have here 4 main license elements, right? And those license elements allow us to do 6 different things in 6 different combinations, right? So that it creates 6 licenses that allow us to do 5 things. And those 5 things are down here. We can retain material, means keep forever. You can reuse them, revise them, remix them, or redistribute them. And the combination of the license tells us what we can do with those. So now we know the basics, right? And we know that we should use OER because it helps save our students money. But I want to be a little selfish. I'm going to be a little selfish right now. And I want to talk about the benefits to faculty of using OER. Outside of saving students money, outside of student success, but what is the benefit to us? And one of the things I think is the main benefit to us is that we have control over the course materials we use. How many of you, and you can raise your hands and do anything you want, how many of you have used somebody else's PowerPoint before?
You mean without their permission?
With or without their permission, I don't care. How many of you have downloaded something off the web and said, oh, this is good enough, I'm going to use this? Yes. Okay, a few of you say that, right? And yeah, you can admit it. It's okay. How many of you have actually been doing the presentation, because I know this has happened to me, and gotten to a slide that you hadn't reviewed and gone, I don't even know what this means? Anybody? Or is it just me that's been in that boat? Right? So I have had to tell my students, yeah, we're going to just skip that one because I don't know what it means. So we're going forward, right? And so I'm not shy about doing that with my students, but material that is created by you, for your class, with your teaching style in mind is better material, isn't it? You guys have the control. You have the ability to say, oh, I want this, but I don't want this. How many of you have gotten a publisher textbook and only said to students, we're not reading chapter 10 because it's dumb, or we're not reading chapter 10 because it doesn't agree with, because I don't agree with it, right? OER and material that you compile for your class is special to you and able to fit your needs so that you don't have to say, I hate chapter 10, right? Because you like chapter 10, you chose chapter 10, right? So that's going to be your main force driving you behind that, behind choosing that source. So, going on to there's a few steps for using OER. And I just want to go over how you would do that. And so we've got the find. We're going to figure out what the license is. We're going to evaluate it. You're going to figure out what your options are. Pick an option. Create an attribution for that OER. That's really important. Cite your sources, guys. And share, use, and evaluate that source after the fact. So finding materials. And I'm going to be done with this PowerPoint very quickly because I don't think it's that useful. And we're going to go out onto the web and I'm going to show you how to actually find some materials. But one of the first steps you can take is talking to me. I am the OER librarian for Lake-Sumter State College, and I can find resources for you. And if I can't find OER, I can find library databases or other things. And remember, you don't have to adopt the whole textbook. You can adopt one learning object or one chapter from one book that's OER, or an article from a database that you can use in your course. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing proposition, right? So make sure that you keep that in mind, that it's not a one size fits all or nothing situation. And also, we have an OER library guide. And if you've got the handout that I posted it's got the link to that library guide right on the top of the handout, very first page. All right. So I told you before we had all these citation elements, or I'm sorry, licensing elements that are on here. And we have the very basic CC BY, which is attribution. So the little guy in the circle means that you have to attribute the source. And notice that the BY symbol with a little guy in the middle is the only one that is in every license, right? The Creative Commons symbol is there and the BY symbol is always there because you always have to give attribution for everything you do. So the first one, Creative Commons Attribution License, allows you to do all the 5 R's with no caveats, no restrictions. The second one is Creative Commons Attribution and Share Alike. That's what that means with a circle. You have to share alike, which means there is one caveat. When you redistribute that material, you have to share it in the same way that it was shared originally, right? You can't put a more restrictive license on it. So that's why that little check mark is red, because it says that there are caveats here. So the second one is attribution and no derivatives. Okay, they have to be the same. That means you can only do 3 of the 5 R's. You can retain, reuse, and redistribute with no caveats, but you cannot change that material in any way. It has to remain exactly the way it was. Then you've got your next one, which is non-commercial, and I like it because it's got the money symbol with an X through it, right? You can't make money off of it. So your caveat is that when you redistribute, you can't do so commercially. Next one, you've got your non-commercial and share alike. Again, you've got caveats on your redistribute. And then the last one is the one that's the most restrictive because you've got a caveat on the redistribute, plus you can't change it, right? Because that's a no derivative license. Right. I'm going to pause here and see if there's any questions about this part of it. No? Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Yep. There's Sybil. Hi.
No, Steve Clark. I'm sorry. The 3, 4th, and 5th ones. What's the difference between them again? All the boxes are checked the same. The 4th and 5th designation. I'm sorry.
The non-commercial. This one.
Yeah.
Non-commercial. That one means that you can't make money off of it. And the second one is that you can't make money and you have to share alike. So you can't make it more restrictive than the license is. So it's basically the same thing, except that you couldn't put a non-commercial, non-derivative license on the 5th one. You couldn't make it more restrictive than it already is. I know it's confusing. I'm sorry. Sybil.
That's fine. Thanks, Nora.
Hey, Nora. So the first one has no restrictions. So does that mean that you can even make money off of that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any other ones? Okay. So moving on. Your next step is to take your materials that you have found, evaluate them, look at the coverage. Is it adequate, minimal, complete for the SLOs or the learning outcomes that you're covering in your course? And then you need to look at the accessibility, both cognitive and technical. As an experienced educator, we know what our students can and cannot understand. When I was looking for OER for Woody Weber, for example, we found some really good OER textbooks that would have been completely over his students' heads. They would not have gotten it at all. So we both said, yeah, no, and decided to do something different than using those textbooks. So it's accessibility as far as understanding, and also technical accessibility, like ADA compliance, and videos that are closed caption, etc. Okay. All right. So right here, we've got our plan to use the material. How do you want to use it? So you're going to evaluate everything you've got in front of you. How are you going to use it? Are you going to use one source? Or are you going to mix and match OER resources? Can you use library materials? Are you going to use combinations of everything? So that's a decision that you, as the subject expert, is going to make individually. Of course, a librarian can help you, but ultimately it's your decision, right? So the next step is attribution. And this is a big one, because as you could see from all those licenses, attribution is the only one that's in every license. Therefore, it's very important. And it's a very simple formula: title, author, source, and license. But the way it's configured can be a little daunting at times. So in a minute, I'm going to share with you a resource that I find invaluable, and I use it all the time for attributing this content. So this picture on the left is where I want to be right now, but I'm not. Me and Alyssa need to go there and have some Mai Tais. So I found that on a website, one of free picture websites. And you've got your white tropical sandy beach. So that's the title. This link, which I don't want to go there right now, but this link will take you straight to that picture. And then you've got the author. The link is going to take you to the author's page. And then you've got a license, the CC by SA, which is share alike. And that means that you can go right there to the license with the link. Patrick, what's up?
Hey, so if we are linking material to like an author's website or to like original, the original source, are we, and where, because a lot of those places I know, like Gaiman, in particular, is real big about saying that, the stuff that he puts on his site is licensed. Are we still having to do this attribution in Canvas if we're linking to a site that is original source material? Am I making sense?
If you're just creating a link to a site, you don't have to attribute. When you attribute when you use the content as if it were your own. So think about it as a student doing citation. If they use their own words, right, they don't have to cite it, right? But if they're using somebody else's words in their paper, they do have to cite it. Okay. So with this, it's the same thing if you use the thing in your material. So you copy the picture, you take the text and now put the text in your course.
Okay.
That's when you have to attribute. If you link to something, it's a link.
Okay.
And they can see the attribution. Yeah, they can see the attribution themselves when they go there and go there. You're not using that material in your class per se, or linking to it. You're going outside.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. I was a little confused, but now I'm not.
Yep. All right. Okay. So let's see. So after that, you're going to post this to a repository. Especially if you remix or do your own OER material, If you create something new, you're going to repost it to a repository. You're going to share alike or share at all, right? So I'm going to show you a bunch of repositories that are available out there that we can do that to, that you can create your own thing. You're going to incorporate that material into Canvas in whatever way you want to. And then you're going to evaluate your students' performance like you would any textbook. What did they do? Did they get this chapter? Did it bore them to death because everybody's flunked the quiz because nobody read the chapter, right? So you're going to evaluate that material and how your student performed based on that. And then you're going to revise as needed. But the thing is that you have the control and you have the power over the timeline of when the things can be revised, added to, renewed, moved, changed. All of that is you. You're not governed by a publisher who, after 2 years, decides to put in a new edition because they changed one word in the whole entire book, right? And then you have to redo everything because they decided they want to charge you more for a new edition, or charge students more for a new edition. So it's in your power to control that, control all the text. And really, once you have done all the bulk of the work, the rest is just little things here and there. Okay. So that's the main benefit. And that's the main takeaway that I want you to take from this, that it is about taking control and using your academic freedom to share information with your students in the best way possible. So I am going to move this along, and I'm always here to help you. There I am. There's my number. I can also share this PowerPoint with you guys after the meeting today. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that. We're going to go out to the web and explore all the things. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start back on LSSE's homepage, and we're going to go to student resources and libraries, and we're here. Okay. I also showed that if you click on the Learning Services logo, you can access everybody. You've got the Writing Center, the Testing Center, tutoring, etc. Okay. All right. So right here, we're going to go to Research Help. And we're going to go all the way down to OER. And that should take us to our OER page. And basically all of the things I have said so far are on this page. We've got the 5 R's right here. You've got all of your links. So that handout is basically a sort of reimagining of this page. Your Creative Commons licenses are explained right here. And then you have your other links that are listed here. The Copyright Genie, the Copyright Digital Slider, helping you understand copyright. And then your open access materials. And finding OER. This is my favorite. I love the OASIS tool. It's called Openly Available Sources Integrated Search. So basically it searches the entire web for all OER in everything, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And just going to do a quick search for, I don't know, let's do nursing because that's been on my mind. So there are 103 results, and you can look here and see that you've got the different types of sources. You've got an open access book, you've got several textbooks, some public domain books, a whole course material, learning objects, etc. So you've got a lot here. And remember, maybe you are using a publisher textbook. But you need some supplementary things. And this is a great way to find supplementary things. You can look at a learning object. And this is a medical versus nursing diagnoses. Says it's a learning object. We would have to click in it to find out what it is, but your attribution is non-commercial, means that you can't sell it. So you could use some of that content, adapt it, and have some good information there. Okay. Conversions in nursing math. And there's 2 of those. And then there's nursing process case study, postpartum nursing. So there's a case study here. And again, your attribution is non-commercial. So you have all of that information. Remember, when you're looking at something and when you're trying to determine whether it's OER or free, that OER will have those licenses clearly posted on the page, on the handout, on wherever it is that you're looking at this stuff. The difference is that if it's just free, if it doesn't have a OER or a CC license on it, it means you can't really do anything with it other than, okay? You really shouldn't download an article that is not open access and just dump it into your class, okay? You should always link to things that are copyright protected. So we're going to go back here. So the search tool is great. It will help you find all sorts of things. There's another search repository that's called Merlot. That is really great for finding content. Merlot, let me just click on that. And that's our content builder, which requires you to log in, but I don't want to do that. Merlot is a repository. Oasis covers the things that are in Merlot, but I kind of like Merlot's access a little better. So I tend to use Merlot a lot. And I'm just going to type Lake-Sumter State College because we're going to toot our own horn today. Whoops. And we have an OER textbook. We created a few years ago an open access text called Research for College Students. And you can see the authors are Amber Carlins, James Kaysen, Jackie Pierce, me, and Dr. Beth Terranova. I can call her doctor now. And we can go to that material. It's published on Merlot that people can look at. And we click on it and it takes us to our Research for College Students textbook. Okay. So this allows you to look in the Merlot collection alone. It allows you to look in other libraries and on the web. So you can simply click on your search bar here and type nursing, and it will search the Merlot collection for books, learning objects, and everything on nursing. Okay. All right. So, with that being said, let's go back to our guide. And then you've got a bunch of other links and tools here. For attribution and evaluation, my favorite is best practices for attribution. This one, the Creative Commons Wiki one. This is a really good one. It takes you all the way through all of the steps. And this is the example that I use all the time in order to create my own attribution. Okay. So I really would promote this one. And then, whoops, what's up? Okay. And then you've got your evaluating things. We've got some OER rubrics here to use to evaluate the material that you find online. It's just guides. If you think that you need something like that, it's tools that are available there for you. And then you've got some copyright links that will allow you to determine if copyrighted material that is not Creative Commons licensed can be used in your course and how it can be used. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the OER links section. That's where all the repositories are listed. Some of these are actual producers of OER, like OpenStax, MIT. Those are actual producers of OER, and they're really, really good. OpenStax textbooks are really great. Now, one of the things you can do on the OpenStax website is create a free account for yourself, which will allow you to go in and look at instructor resources. And many of the OpenStax textbooks have learning objects and ancillary materials like PowerPoints and tests and things that you can use with your classes. Now, I got this question via email earlier today, and I just wanted to answer it really quick, just in case the person who asked me is in the room. They asked how we can find free images online, Creative Commons images. And one of the best sources for that is Wikimedia Commons. It has like 96,000, it says, or 96 million freely usable media files to which anyone can contribute. So it's all here. You just do a quick search. The other way is to simply Google it, right? GTS, Mr. Rader is in the room, right? Google that stuff. So, okay. So if you want a picture of a beach, you can just go to images, and to find Creative Commons materials, you go to tools, you go to usage rights, and you hit Creative Commons licenses. And then now all of these are going to be licensed with Creative Commons. And that's it. Let me check out the chats. All right. All right. So, any other questions? What do you guys think?
Nora, for me, that last little bit is awesome because I probably have been screenshotting certain things to put images in mine that I probably shouldn't have. So this is something I will definitely use now that you have shown me how to do it. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to screenshot some that I like anyway, but I will now go that direction. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nora, that's a big help at the end, because I'm just like Alyssa, you know. I mean, I try to do diligence. I try to find something, but if I can, or I'm in a hurry, but man, that makes it great if I can just kind of narrow it down.
Mm-hmm. And there is a lot out there. Really, there is a lot out there that's acceptable to use. Misha says she just cited the stuff in her presentation. Good job, Misha.
Nora, as you know, I've seen many different presentations. Some of them we've done together. I love how the images that you're picking to explain the stuff keep getting better and better.
Oh, thank you.
You know, as far as like the check boxes and understanding. And I did share in the chat, because I had completely forgotten. It had dropped out of my mind. But I had built in Twine and GitHub if you're making your own thing and you want to license your own stuff, which license do I pick? And it's choose your own, like click buttons, and it'll take you to the license you need and to the correct deed. So that's a slightly different thing when you're making your own and picking the license.
If you're ever considering creating a remix or making your own OER, contact me and I will help you with materials for showing you how to do that. If you said you've got it on Gitmo, Woody. We can put all of that stuff in our OER LibGuide, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a link that goes right to it, so you can take that
Okay.
link.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was one of the final assignments they had us do, and I just combined it with the game-based learning things I had learned.
Great.
Yeah.
See, that's good. I love that.
Nora, I'll have to share a very personal story. I saw this a similar presentation about 3 years ago that you did, and to this day, I still use the tool in Google to restrict my searches. At 6:45 a.m., my son called me, who's a new middle school math teacher, and said, I'm really looking for some handouts on order of operation that I can copy. Literally today, this morning at 6:45, I showed him how to do the Google search and do the tools, and showed him how to find all this free stuff. So it's timeless information that I will never, ever forget. I use it all the time.
That is awesome. And the tool for advanced search that I had shown Sybil at that time has changed a bit. And so it's a little bit harder to find the advanced search function in Google now. But it's still available. So let me see. Okay. So the Google search, and I'm like, I have lost the advanced search option.
I was able to hit the little off the settings button to the right.
Ah, yes, here
Right
it is.
there, it's there.
It is in the quick settings button. And then you can find advanced search there. And what you want to do is go down to the usage rights and say free to use, share, or modify, even commercially. That's your CC BY. And then you can then find materials that way. So what was your son looking for, Sybil? Math handouts?
I guess I was muted. Order of operations.
For order of operations.
Mhm.
And then you have a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see, a lot of Lumen Learning things, which those are going to be OpenStax, Mathematics Stack Exchange. So all of your materials are going to be here. Some pretty cool stuff you could find just by doing that. Any other questions, comments?
Nora, even going through those steps right there, it helped me. I mean, we all use things, but if we don't use them for a while, we forget where things are located.
Yeah.
So even just watching that, seeing, and this is silly, but seeing the exact words, because that's something that irritates me sometimes when I type something in and I want it exact. But I'm usually, honestly, as you are as well, like doing 20 things at one time. So now I've reminder where to go.
Yeah, our pace is so quick. You know, we're constantly moving. And it's nice to be able to have a few tools in your toolbox that will help. One of the things I've been doing recently is finding some objects through Merlot, some really good learning objects that I can explain information literacy competencies, and I don't have to create something from scratch myself. So even if you're wanting to teach your students, I don't know, order of operations or parts of speech, there probably is a tool out there somebody has created and decided to share. And also, if you have a really great tool that you want to share, you should, because it just makes your discipline so much better when everybody is collaborating. And it's the internet has made it possible for us to not just collaborate with each other, but with the world. And that's the best part.